everyone, Steven from Straight Fire Picks. We got a little bit of a how-to video here for you today. We got how to bet NBA, how to find winning bets, how to bet sports in general. We'll go through the process here at the beginning of the video of how I find bets specifically for the NBA. And then we'll have a few general tips and good practices also at the end of the video that hopefully will help your sports betting. Things that I've done that have helped me as far as that goes. So just want to share that here with you guys. So getting right into it here, you'll notice I'm on my sportsbook here, FanDuel Sportsbook. I have really grown to really love them and all that they have to offer on FanDuel. Just as an example, as you go under something like this, you could bet on stuff like this. Players to score 25, 30 points and get huge odds boost on those, obviously. So that's obviously, I love that. Not all books offer that kind of stuff. But going right back to here, this is the type of stuff I look for when I open the morning. So when I'm looking for my official bets of the day, I hop right on my book here and I go down through and I look for something that immediately pops off the page at me. Something that's an eye popper. That's like, whoa, what's going on there? So immediately there's one here that I can tell you on this whole slate that really pops out. And what is it? Right there. Memphis Grizzlies -2. So why is that? I know how good the Grizzlies have been at covering spreads this year. I know how good they've been on the road against covering spreads this year. And I've bet them quite a bit. So I'm very familiar with the Grizzlies. There's a lot of things we have to check here to make sure that we're actually going to ship this out as an official pick. And on the flip side for Minnesota, Minnesota isn't the type of team that really scares me. Despite the talent that they have, I mean, they do have D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, Karl-Anthony Towns. They are not to the point quite yet where they scare me as far as being a dominant force. So, obviously, we're going to go through and check all our boxes here. We're going to see how many boxes we can check and if we're going to send this out as an official pick. All right, so going back, we'll start with our history. So, of course, you could use two different sites here. You could use landofbasketball.com or you could use StatMuse. Both are great resources. Me, I tend to gravitate towards Land of Basketball, at least for this in particular. StatMuse kind of has everything. You can find anything on StatMuse. It really is a great resource. But I like having multiple tabs open so I can flip back and forth and look at stuff. So I'll use StatMuse to look up other data while I'm looking up this on this site. But you can use StatMuse for both, but it's really just up to you. But you'll notice here the Grizzlies have dominated this series, right? They've won 8 out of 9. 6-7, lost 1, won another 1. So they've won 8 out of 9 in this series. So the Grizzlies have had the upper hand. If you go through and check these, you'll notice that the lineups are pretty much going to be about the same as far as what they're going to be tomorrow for the game tomorrow there on Thursday. So really that's the things that you want to check. Is the data comparable? Are the lineups comparable? And they are. Going back to about here. Once you get back in here, though, things change quite a bit. But that's obviously stuff we want to check because, history is only important if the factors are pretty much the same. So we'll start with that. The next thing I'll typically go to is right over here on teamrankings.com, another great resource. You can check your against the spread trends, your win-loss trends, your over-under trends, everything. But here we're going to check against the spread. So obviously we just talked about it. Memphis, #1 in the NBA against the spread. Look at that. That's 66 or 67% just about, which you can't really ask for better than that. Minnesota back here are 51%. That's not even profitable right now. That's on the edge of profitable there for Minnesota. Not bad, but obviously Memphis here with a big edge. Now, as far as road and home goes, as an away team, look at that. 22-8, 73%. That's beautiful. And this game's going to be in Minnesota. So obviously we love to see that. We go down here, we check Minnesota as a home team. Let's take a look here. Minnesota, 14-13, right in line with their regular percentage. So they're not a dominant home team, like I said. The other thing I like to check, just going back to this, is this number right here. How much do they cover the spreads by? They're #4 as far as points covered by, so that's pretty good as well, obviously, plus 3.6. Boston, one of your best here at 4.9, so they're another interesting look, and obviously Cleveland up there as well. Now, what I would check after this is I would go on under, so we check that. Obviously checks the boxes. We like to see that. We go under teams. We go to Memphis Grizzlies. How have they done lately? Have they been good against the spread lately? So we go under Grizzlies. We go under betting view. Okay, in your basic view, you go to your betting view. Go down here, and this tells you how much they've covered the spread. So the bold is how much they've covered. So they've covered 9 of their last 11 games. Obviously, that's very good. 3, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, 8-1, 9-1, 9-2, and then obviously tomorrow's game here with Minnesota. So 9-2 in the last 11 games against the spread. That's obviously very solid. That's what we like to see. And then we'll take it a step further. We will check the Timberwolves out. How have the Timberwolves done here recently? We go to Betting View. They have not been quite as good. They've been against the spread here. You know, they lost right here before the All-Star break to Toronto. 0-2, 1-2, 1-4. They're 1-4 in the last 5 games against the spread. So it's obviously they were on a heater there against the spread, but they've obviously tailed off, which I love seeing that. That's good. That checks the box. You know, the recent trend is what we really want to focus on anyway, so that's what I really like to see. You'll notice in both of these, now, we're talking about the spreads here, but you'll notice this over here are overs. So overs are hitting a lot here, but go back to Memphis as well. Just something you got to pick up when, you know, with your eyes that you can pick up. Overs are hitting a ton for Memphis here too as well. So just something that hopefully your eye catches when you're going over this data. And then you'd also want to just take a look at this and just look at it. Don't do anything with it yet. I'm not going to bet something like that because it's way too high. 239 is probably getting to the point of being pretty sharp. And I don't personally want to bet that. That's just me though. But going back in here, so we're pretty much done here. We get the idea. Memphis is where we want to be. As far as that goes, we check the defensive efficiency. They have an edge there versus Minnesota back here at 15. Offensive efficiency, 6 versus 12 here for Minnesota. So obviously those are very good. So we're checking our boxes. The injury report now, this is obviously very important as well. No significant injuries here for the Grizzlies. Dylan Brooks is out, but he's been out for a long time. And these other guys aren't huge contributors that I'm worried about them being out. The Grizzlies survived just fine without them. No other major injuries, though. We'll have Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson. These guys off the bench are very good as well. Kyle Anderson, John Conchar, Melton Jones. Very good second unit. Very good. That's really where a lot of their hay is done, I believe. Their second unit is very good. So, obviously love that. And usually what I do as far as for injuries, guys, if I want something more in depth, I'll go here. But if I want to get something quick, you can just and go to their injury logs here. You can just pop over from team to team. It's much easier than doing that through ESPN. However, they don't give you in-depth information unless you're a subscriber. So obviously, we're not going to be paying $10 a month for everything. So obviously, I don't have a subscription here. So just going through, I'll check the general injury situation here for Memphis. It's the same, but again, they don't give you any of that detailed information. And for Minnesota, they're healthy as well. But for these two teams, I'll take the edge here with Memphis as far as, both these teams to me are fairly healthy. I'm not worried about the injuries here for the Grizzlies. So we love that. This checks all the boxes for me, guys. The history, the against the spread trends, the offensive efficiency trends, the defensive trends, the road trend versus the home trend. This checks every box. So this is likely to be an official pick for me tomorrow when I do my betting video. I'm not sure yet. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. The spread, especially if it moves up, I may not take it. Right now, you'll notice just even since we've been doing this, I believe this moved to 2.5 from 2. So a lot of people, I think, are starting to have the same thought. So that's just an example of an against the spread bet here of an example of that. Okay, and now going over how we bet NBA player props. So it's the same process as far as I start here on our page, and then I already have an idea for, like I said, having an idea, watching the NBA, having an idea of what you want to bet. You learn these things with practice and with time, which is important to do because it saves you a lot of time. Otherwise, you just end up funneling through a bunch of stuff and things of that nature as far as from a research perspective. So I'm going to start here. We don't have a lot of player props available. This is just for example purposes only. But if you go into here under player rebounds, you'll notice we have nothing but Detroit Pistons player props, which I don't love betting on the Pistons in general. They're a very scary team to bet on because they can get blown out a lot. But you'll notice here, the first thing that would probably pop at me would be Isaiah Stewart's rebound line over 8.5. The reason for that is I know he's been rebounding the ball pretty solid here lately. He's averaging 10.8 rebounds per game in the month of February. So I have his game log here pulled up, ESPN.com. You can just do a simple Google search and should be the first result that you find. No shame in using Google, guys. All right, so you'll notice here 7-2 in his last 9 games. Actually, 8-2. If you go back to here when he played Cleveland in Detroit, he's 8-2 in his last 10 games to the over 8.5 rebounds. Very solid there. Obviously, we like to see that. Now, you got to always consider what is the impact of a guy like Jeremy Grant on Isaiah Stewart as far as his rebounds. You'll notice that Stewart only had 6 rebounds this last game. That's why I say this is only a look right now. This is why we have to look. So you go under here. Boy, you know, there really wasn't a lot of rebounds here for... See, he wasn't really a part of the rebounding thing. It was actually Saddiq Bey that got rebounds, which to me is a little fluky. I don't think you see Saddiq Bey grab 10 rebounds or 11 rebounds on a consistent basis. Sometimes it's just about where the ball bounces. So I'm not going to actually play this into account because I don't think this really impacted Isaiah Stewart's rebounding line. So, yeah, honestly, I'm okay with that, guys. Like I said, he's been very hot to the line lately. So overall, this is pretty good here for Isaiah Stewart. As far as his game log goes, we're just gonna go back here. All right, we're gonna go back one more. Go back one more. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, so we're 8-2 our last 10 here for Isaiah Stewart. Very good game log here versus the Cavs overall. The summary is if he gets the minutes, he's probably gonna get there. His recent game log is good. Now here's the part that I don't love about the bet. Team opponent rebounds per game. Cleveland is allowing the 8th fewest in the NBA right now. So they haven't been allowing a ton of rebounds in general. So that doesn't make me feel great from that standpoint. I still don't, like I said, I still don't mind it. I'm still leaning with Stewart here to the over. Another thing that I would like to check, which I don't have pulled up right now, but we're going to pull it up, NBA rebound chances. And it's as simple as you can just type this in Google, guys, and this pops right up. Very first entry here at the top, very easy. NBA rebounding. Of course, you can I could show you guys how to navigate the site if you guys wanted that, but I think we get the idea. All right, this is something I like to check, especially the last 10 games. You know, what's his rebound chances like here for Isaiah Stewart? So you know, Embiid is really. Look at this, number 5 in the NBA. Whoa. Whoa, guys. Whoa. I don't know why I highlighted all that, but whoa. Look at that. 19.3 rebound chances per game in his last 10 games. That is incredible. That is right up there with the top rebounders in the NBA. If you're in this company with a line this small, and when you've had the success, and you've done, guys, I mean, come on. That's just, and he's not even getting crazy minutes either. So, I mean, I think it's one of those things where, you know, a guy starts playing better. You got to look at double digits in points in 5 straight. It's not like they're going to want to limit his minutes. He's been playing very, very good. You know, he's getting some blocks in here. He's getting it done overall. So, you know, we should see Stewart, you know, continue to get the minutes here for Detroit. Overall, guys, I think that, so this is the type of stuff that puts it up over the top for me. I see something like this. I see something like this, guys. That's like, whoa. That pops it, man. It's like he's getting the opportunities. And in a game like this, I anticipate this game, just from my perspective, as being relatively close. Not necessarily, I don't think the Pistons win. The Cavs may even cover the spread of 9. But I don't think it'll get crazy to where it'll impact Stewart's minutes in a crazy way. So, honestly, guys, I do like this bet as a lean right now. So, but that is just an example of how we go about our player props. Kind of top to bottom. There's a lot of things you could check. I recommend, and it's the same way for assist chances. So if we were looking at an assist line, you would just type in NBA potential assist, and you go about the process is the same for everything, guys. NBA potential assist, you'll find potential assist here. Boom, you'll find it here. You'll find, I like doing adjusted assist too. That means what they really should be getting. So again, you can go last 10 games, same type of thing for that. And then, you know, you can do the same stuff for points per game for players too. Same process for everything as far as NBA.com has this laid out perfectly. They tell you everything you need to know about his secondary assist, which I don't really care about that. I care about the assist number, the potential assist, the adjusted assist is what I check for assist. For rebounding, typically, I don't have it pulled up anymore. Typically, I look at your rebounding chances. I like to know, you know, how many opportunities is he getting overall. So like I said, Stewart obviously very good there. You check your history, okay? Same for, you know, for any statistic you're looking for, you just check your history. Looking for PRAs, you just count them all up, right? So same process as far as that goes. You could check your you know, how a team is on the defensive end. Like if you're betting against a team like the Chicago Bulls, you can check to see how they're doing on the defensive end. The 20th, you know what I mean? They're not a great defensive team, so you're like, do I want to take a player's point props versus the Bulls? Do I want to take their assist props versus the Bulls? Do I want to take rebound props versus the Bulls? All things you could check. You can do the same process here as when you're checking team opponent rebounds per game. You can check team opponent assists per game. You can check team opponent points per game. So it's the same process applied to every category. We did rebounds here, but you just type in your search engine differently, or you navigate it differently from the website here, which obviously we're not going to do here. I just want to give you guys an idea of that. But overall, guys, that's what we do. And then your NBA defense versus position, we'll break it down as far as by position as well. So that's a general idea of how we bet NBA player props. Okay, and finally, we're going to talk about totals here in the NBA. So, you know, what you look at here, this is the same type of concept. I look in the morning, you know, I see, is there anything that pops out at me? I'm looking at that I'm like, whoa. You know, I have a strong hunch on any of these. But that's where this obviously starts. But because we were talking about the Grizzlies and Timberwolves earlier, we noticed that there was a heavy over trend on both sides. Let's just investigate the over 239. I'm 100% never going to take probably a bet like this because this total is way too high for me to take an over. That's just not something I do, but it's worth taking a look. Let's take a look. So at the history, you notice that for the most part, we do not have a trend of overs hitting here at all. The only game that hit the over this year was this, and it went to overtime. So that's basically a throwout game for me, or I'd actually count that as a loss pretty much in my eyes, because I don't see games typically. When was the last time a game went to overtime? It had been a few years. We're not going to rely on overtime ever to cash our bets. That's just not smart. That's not something I ever want to rely on. So overall, though, you see a lot of unders hitting. You have one time here. This will be what I call an outlier. One time where the over hit 139 to 135, but overall, a lot of unders and by a good margin. A lot of these aren't even really that close. 233 is still 7 points off hitting this over. 224, 228, 225, 231, 222. And then finally get back here to 258. But overall, guys, overs are not a trend in this series. For sure. I'd be more leaning towards the under with a over-under this high, right? But then you want to check your numbers on the season for opponent points allowed per game, home and away. So, you know, how many points do the Timberwolves allow at home? Timberwolves are actually pretty good there. 105.7 at home. That's very solid. And how many points do the Grizzlies allow on the road? They allow, looks like 110.5 there for Memphis. So if you put those together, you get 215 between those two. And then as far as points per game, you go under here, same process here. You look for Minnesota at home, which is significantly less than what they actually score on the road. So that's interesting. Oh, and then as far as Memphis goes, how many did they score on the road? They actually score a good bet on the road. They score 113.2. That's an average of 211 there as far as your points per game. You have 211 and 215. You average those two together, you get 213. So that's not even... Not that you consider that fully towards your over-under because you know that it's matchup based. You know, some games are playing a team like Detroit where Detroit's just not going to score with them, obviously. So there's obviously things that skew data. But this is well off that pace for both these teams to be sitting about 30 points back from this over-under. Don't love seeing that. But we did talk about how over-unders have been hitting as far as recently for these two teams specifically. So we go back in here. We go back under the Grizzlies. You'll notice the over is hit in 8 straight. And a lot of these were 250, 244, 239, 243, 242. Still pretty close, though. 242, 243, 239. Is that anything you want to put your money on? I don't think so. Not me. No thanks. I'm way more apt to play that under right now. But nothing I want to put my money on as far as that goes. You go under Timberwolves. It was the same story for the Timberwolves as well. Definitely saw some points in this one. Oh, got to put it under betting view. So you'll notice they've hit a good bit of overs here as well. So they've hit, look at this, 3, 4, 5, 5-1, 10-1, 10-2 in their last 12 over. 10 out of the last 12 they've hit the over. And look at these. Some of these were set at 240. These were set at 244, 240, 240. Wow. You know what I mean? For them to nail those overs, that's pretty impressive. So obviously, it's like, what else would you want to check with that? Why is that? So why are they hitting overs at 240? Let's go to, why are they hitting overs there with that type of line up at 240? So you want to check your pace out. So you could go, let's just check over the last 3. The Minnesota is averaging the second most possessions per game. So the pace is right now pretty high. Same thing with Memphis. Memphis is, let's say, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. 8th in pace, for Memphis. Does that match up here on the season as well? We could go to ESPN and also check that. You can check a few different ones. Nothing wrong with that. Overall, Memphis, Minnesota are high-paced teams, and it's played out here recently and also on the season. So you'll notice Memphis, Minnesota in pace, number 3, number 4. So there's a good reason for this line to be fairly high, but I'm not comfortable taking it. I don't know if you guys are comfortable taking it. Pace is always a huge play as far as your over-under as well, but I don't like the history. That's the biggest thing. Maybe if there was some good history here, maybe I'd be leaning towards the over. But overall, I don't like the history. That's just some of the things we look for, guys, when we talk about over-unders. We're looking at our team trends. We're looking at our team stats overall here. I'm going to go back. We're going to go back and just take a look. Odds and trends, team trends. You'll notice if you go over-under here, you'll notice Minnesota and Memphis are in the top 5 for hitting overs. So this line is somewhat justified. However, I think it's a little too high. I'd be actually leaning, I would still, despite some of the data, the pace, a lot of the things, that's why I wouldn't take the bet. But this would be a lean right here. That'd be a lean. How could it not be? That's just a lot of points to expect on a consistent basis. So anyway, guys, that's a brief overview for over-unders and how we look at those. Okay, now I'm going to do a brief overview of how I personally bet these. So you guys notice I put out usually 4 plays. So actually, let's throw in another play. I'm just doing this for fun. Throwing in another play. Alright, so this is generally how I go about betting these. So if I have 4 selections and that's all I'm going with, now typically I'll tail a few plays as well throughout the day of things that I like that other people put out. But if I'm just doing this, this is what I do. This would be an example of what I do. Say I want to do 50, my unit, let's just say my unit size is 50. What's important here isn't how much money I'm putting in there, it's your unit size. So if my unit size is 50, I'm playing 50 on all the straights, right? So we got $200 in bets, and then on the parlay, people are like, do you play the parlay? Just like that. $5. That's it. Sometimes, for something like this, if my unit size is 50, I might do something like that. I don't want to give away too many of my profits chasing a parlay. I really don't. If I go 3-1, I'm looking to go 3-1 here. This is what I'm looking to go. I'm looking to hit 3 of these because realistically in betting, we understand how it works, right? Usually one of your results is going to go awry. Sometimes you get the clean sweep, it feels great. And I'll tell you what, if I get a clean sweep here and I hit this, I feel phenomenal. I don't need to do one of these, guys. I don't need to do that for me. That's double my unit size. Now, if you had a unit size of, if your unit size was this, if your unit size was that, well, sure, you could put $100 on the parlay. That's fine. Like, that wouldn't bother me at all. But, like, as far as if your unit size is 50, this isn't good. That's not a good number. That's not where you want to be. I know this looks great. You want to win this, but realistically, more often than not, that's not going to happen. I can tell you the week before the All-Star break, there's a lot of episodes I was going 2-1, 3-1, 3-1, 4-1. I was missing just one on a bunch. And imagine if I loaded so much on the parlay that I wasn't profiting from this. I want to be able to go 3-1 and still profit. How much would I profit? Let's just put it together. So I have 200 in bets. If I won 3 of them, let's just say for argument's sake that I get, I'm not going to factor this out completely, so I get 300 back for putting 200 in bets, because I hit 3 of these, which is about $100 payout a piece. It's a little bit less, 95, 95, 190 plus 91, 281, 281, and I put out $200 in bets, close to it. So if I give up 7 of it and I profit 75 or 74, that's fine. I can still live with that. If I did this though, and I didn't hit that, then I just lost money going 3-1. I just lost money here. Could you imagine that? Like that hurts. I can't do that. So that's just how I bet it personally. This is about where I lay. I can tell you that's about what I'm doing right now. About a 7th, actually. Or even a 10th. I'll even do that. Sometimes if I'm feeling froggy, maybe an 8 spot. But that's about the extent to which I go, unless it's free. If you have a free bet, load whatever the free bet is on it. But outside of that, that's how I work my bet slip. Okay, guys, that was just meant to give you an idea of how I personally bet my bet slip, and just to kind of give you an idea for how I view betting and how I like to bet the parlay with that, with your unit size. So the amount of money wasn't the important part there, because the amount's going to be different for everybody, depending on your unit size. So as far as your bankroll management goes, I've been falling around that 3% category as far as of my bankroll. So for example, if you had $500, I'd be betting $15 per play. That'd be 3% of your bankroll. So I'd be betting $15 per play on those. As far as, you could do a little bit more than that, and I think it's fine. I think you can go up to 5% and be okay, but it is more risky, obviously, as you go up. But the recommended amount is to be in the 3% range or less. 3 to 5 is good. It's still fine. 3% or less is more ideal, I think, where you end up wanting to be. And as you grow that bankroll, for instance, if you get your bankroll ever up to $100,000, do you need to be betting 3% of your bankroll at that point? No. You don't need to. I mean, you can if you want to. But for me, I would be betting like $1,000 per bet, because at that point, it's like, I don't need to be risking that much of my account, because at that point, that account is precious to me, right? $100,000 is a lot of money. So, as you grow, you could always lower that percentage too, because you can still make lots of money betting 1% of $100,000. That's $1,000 a bet, guys. So in case you go on a bad losing streak, you don't want to blow up your account by continuing to do that. So the idea is, as you build, you can lower that percentage. So you're still making more and more money, but you're risking less and less of your account. I don't know if that graph made a lot of sense with me doing that with my hands, but that was kind of the idea of it. Anyway, that's just a tip that I have for you. As far as your promotions on your books, one way to get ahead on the sports book is to take advantage of everything that they offer you, right? So if you go into promos, now you may or may not see it here, but a lot of times FanDuel or a lot of these books will offer free bets. They will offer free same game parlay on Thursday nights. They do that on FanDuel just about every Thursday night. It's called TNT free same game parlay. And that is 100% worth taking advantage of, right? You wouldn't want to miss out on free money. There's no reason not to take it. They give you your money back. As far as that, particularly on FanDuel, they actually give you the bonus money as well. It's not just a free bet. DraftKings and some of those other ones, they do like free bets, so it's a little bit more of a risk because you actually have to bet that and win to get your money back. But by and large, you want to make sure that you're taking advantage of the promotions that you're able to, right? So if you get, deposit matches, anything that they offer you here, take advantage of this stuff. I mean, if your friend's planning on getting a book, refer them. There's a link right here. It's a free $50 for you and him. Like, that stuff helps you. Why that helps is, like, your winning percentage doesn't have to be as good if you're doing all this stuff. Now, you still obviously want your winning percentage to be good. But by and large, if you're taking advantage of these promos, same game parlay, like I said, they'll have free tabs here where you'll have a free same game parlay. It's not listed right now, but this is where it will be under promo. So, same thing with the boost. You might find a boost that you like here. Now, a lot of times I view these as traps of things they want you to bet on. But, sometimes there is stuff that catches my eye where I'm like, I think it's a really good boost. So we have stuff, obviously, in our Discord where we have a boost channel. We have a promo channel where we'll have those things laid out on our channel as well. Anyway, guys, I do appreciate all of you. I hope this video was helpful for you. This is kind of my process for how I bet. I don't know why I went back to that. I wanted to give you guys an idea for how I personally bet this stuff, how I go about my process, a few tips that I've learned along the way. the tips, like I said, the biggest thing is the 3% or less rule. Up to 5% you could do. People do those 2-unit plays. You could look at that as your 2-unit play. If you feel really confident, 5% is acceptable. Going beyond that, you're risking disaster. So, but yeah, guys, I appreciate all of you here at the channel. I hope this video was helpful again for you. We'll be returning to our NBA videos, obviously, here tomorrow. So, hope you guys enjoy the content, and we will catch you back next time. Peace out.